Hey, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to another video, and this is another paid request for Aaron. Thank you so much for that. For those interested in requesting any type of videos, random thoughts, streams, commentaries, video game playthrough for an hour or full playthrough, whatever the case may be, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal. Do have a Cash App as well. Links are down below in the info box. I will get to it as soon as I possibly can. For those who sent them, thank you. I do appreciate it. So again, I apologize for the wait on some of these videos. I'm trying to get to them as soon as I can, but thank you for your patience and your generosity. I really do appreciate it. And this is for Paddington 2 from 2017, which I had seen the first one before when he requested it, but I had never seen the sequel. So very nice of him to give me the opportunity to see it, and I liked it. I liked the first one. I know I just spoiled it, usually build up to how do I feel about the film, but I think there's a third film, but something about Peru, I want to say there is. But so far these Paddington films have been very cute. Very cute type of family films where, I don't know, it's because of just the British sensibilities, just the way it seems like they take much more care with these family films in terms of nowadays, when you look at a family film, it's either very soulless. I can't even say the word right. Soulless, so fucking shitty. Soulless. Disney remake horseshit like the Lilo and Stitch one I just saw. Fucking that remake, the Lion King remake, Mufasa, Snow White. Or it's very, like, trying to be hip, trying to put, songs and references to movies that these kids wouldn't know what the hell they're talking about, but it's for the parents, and how do we hip and cool, and reference this, and remember that, or let's put some fart jokes in there, because the kids love the farts, and let's reference this song, or let's have them sing this song, or whatever the hell the case is. That's refreshing to see these type of family films where you don't feel embarrassed watching the shit. You feel like there's a heart to them. There's a sense of humor that seems like fitting for its tone, fitting for what it's supposed to showcase, and there's a nice warmth to it all. Like how some family films actually used to be back in the day, in the 90s and such. And yes, of course, it's done with a lot of CGI, which some people may be against that, but with Paddington, I just like to deal with it because I don't know how you could do that practically, and it's less about the CGI, more because I grow to like the character. I did in the first film. It's still just very innocent. I wouldn't say naive, but maybe a little bit of that, but innocent and means well and just very easy to root for. Again, not trying to be hip and cool and all this shit. Just very old school, old fashioned type of whimsy, if that makes sense. In a weird way, that's refreshing. That's refreshing to see. And I don't know how this did box office wise. I just had to look it up real quick. But if it did well, it probably was overseas and not so much the U.S. Because I don't know how much U.S. audiences know about Paddington, because that was a book that was more in the U.K., and there is a third film. It came out 2024. But this came out 2017. And it cost $40 million and it made $283 million worldwide. So, but only $40 million in the US. The rest of it was international. So, yeah, in the US it's not too big of a deal, but they did good reviews. Like, this has a 99% Rotten Tomatoes, which is crazy. A 99%. And I'm kind of curious. So the second film has a 7.8, But the third film is a 6.7. Damn. Anyway. So before I go on, the plot of the film is, at this point, the Paddington Bear, who, I mean, I would assume you've seen the first one, but if not, he was a bear raised by his aunt and uncle. An explorer had gone over there, and the bears learned his language and also learned the fascination of London, and they grew to like marmalade, and they baked that. In the first film, there's plans to go to London. There's a big storm. The uncle dies. The aunt is going to go to this kind of rest home for bears, and she sends the kid off to London, where he's got the hat, he's got a sandwich just in case of emergencies. He goes off to find a home, and he eventually, by the end of the film, finds it with this family, the Brown family, where the dad is Hugh Bonneville. So at the point of this film, things seem to be going well. The family unit is going well, which I appreciate, so they didn't just backtrack or say, no, actually now things are still screwed up, or things are still messed up, or no, that didn't matter, because sometimes sequels do that. No, they seem to be a good family unit. Now granted, the family is not centered on too much. I mean, the kids, there are times you can almost blink and miss them. Like the son and daughter. Like the daughter, apparently she had a breakup, but that means nothing for the rest of the movie. The son is in the steam engines, and that only comes into effect at the very end of the movie. But, I mean, they're in group shots, or when they need to talk to Paddington. They're there, but they don't have a whole lot to do. Even the mom and dad, or I should say the Mr. and Mrs. Brown, compared with the first film, they're not as involved. Like, they are, but they're not. So what happens is, it shows how the whole neighborhood cares for him, how he knows everybody. He helps the trash guy who's trying to study. He knows the person at the vendor. She goes on a lot of dates. There's a guy, I think, named the Colonel, and he knows him. And, hey, did you remember your teas? Like, so he knows everybody. In very kind of old school, whimsical nature of it all. Eventually, he wants to get this pop-up book that showcases London for his aunt, who always wanted to visit London but hasn't. So this is her birthday coming up. That's the best thing. The guy who owns the shop, who's in the first movie, he's like, well, it's going to cost a bit. So the bear decides to get a job. And that's kind of the first part of the movie, is him getting these odd jobs. And you see, some goofy slapstick, which I'm a sucker for, because that's the kind of humor I grew up with. Was Three Stooges, Abbott and Costello, Ernest P. Worrell, which is funny, Eventually this is Paddington goes to jail, like Ernest goes to jail. Because he's framed for a crime, and then he's put in the jail, and then he becomes friends with the convicts, and then they need to escape from jail. So it really did remind me of Ernest Goes to Jail on its surface level. And then you have the slapstick and stuff, so I like those Ernest movies for the most part. Not so much Ernest Goes to School and Ernest Goes to Africa, not so much, but anyway, that's a whole other thing. And when he's doing the odd jobs, they're fun. If you like that kind of warm-hearted, harmless slapstick. So he's working at a barber shop, and he's left alone as a guy wanting to trim. So he's like, okay. So he's just like the shaver, but it buzzes so much it's just moving him. And he's standing still scared, but it's moving him around because of how the buzzer is shaking. Then he gets tangled up, and then he does this. Then accidentally hits the guy's hair, and he's trying to put it back on. Then he puts some marmalade and puts it on. It doesn't quite work. And then when the boss comes in, the plate's been screwed up, and then the sprinklers start. Or he decides to do window washing, so he gets a bucket, but it's too heavy, so it lifts him up. but then he like goes up and down until it drops on him, or realizes his fur can actually work well in window washing, so he does it. And again, it's stuff that just, it's harmless, entertaining fluff that doesn't try to resort in the stupid tropes that you would see in modern family movies. Again, the fart jokes, the gross out jokes, the hip soundtrack, the character trying to be hip or try to talk like this or trying to throw in jokes that would pass over the kids, and just very old school stuff. I think that's the appeal, and it would seem like for those who read the books, they seemed like they respected that tone of the source material. I never read those books because they didn't have them here, especially not when I was growing up. So I only know about them from these movies. The guy who voices Paddington does a really good job. He was in the first film doing the voice. He's a guy that would become the new Q in the Daniel Craig James Bond films. You saw him in... When did he... I can't remember when he first appeared. Which one. But then the Daniel Craig ones, he was the Q in those movies. The rest of the group do a good job. Hugh Grant is your villain. Always great to see Hugh Grant. I've always been a fan of his. Even back to the day, I'll admit it, I don't mind Notting Hill for what it is. Mostly because of him. His sense of humor, his kind of charm. I remember liking that film. I remember... 9 Months, I didn't mind. A lot of people hated that one, but I didn't mind it. It doesn't hold up the best, to be fair, so I wouldn't say I love it. But this part's that I like. I actually liked Extreme Measures. That sadly never got a Blu-ray, but it's a thriller he did where he played a doctor and bodies are disappearing and he finds out these homeless people are being used for experiments. Kind of how many people would you kill to cure cancer kind of line of thinking. Gene Hackman is in the film. That's an underrated movie, Extreme Measures. I do remember liking that film. And again, sadly, there's no Blu-ray for it or anything. I think it was, I want to say it was Warner Brothers. But see, no one else remembers the film except me, so. And a few of my friends, to be fair. But I always liked it. He's done some other films throughout the years. Heretic, the film is flawed, but he was really good in it. The third act lost its way, kind of shit itself, but the first half of the film was pretty decent. His performance is very good in that. So, but I always like Hugh Grant. He still has that charm. He plays an actor that we find out has been reduced to doing like dog food commercials, and he's hosting this ceremony to open up this fair. He overhears about this book that Paddington wants, and he knows something Paddington doesn't, which is the book may lead to some kind of treasure. Because while he's an actor, he's actually broke, so he really wants the treasure. So one day he goes in, he steals it. Paddington sees him, chases after him, but the guy gets away. Paddington gets framed, goes to jail, and then it's the family trying to find clues as to who this person was, because Hugh Jackman is... Hugh Jackman. That'd be a different movie. I mean, Hugh Jackman could work, but Hugh Grant, he's a master of disguise, so at one point he's trying to find clues to find where this treasure is. So at one point he pretends to be a nun. At one point he pretends to be this, to get to where he needs to get these clues at. The family, the Browns, they're trying to figure out how to help Paddington, and then Paddington's in jail. While he's there, of course, trying to get along with people, and the cook, who becomes kind of Paddington's main friend, is Brendan Gleeson, who I always have liked as an actor. The first time I saw him was 20 Days Later. I still remember the bit when they're in the tunnel and he looks up and that one drop hits him in the eye and he's freaking out. I remember in the theater going, oh, fuck. Because I liked him and I liked his character and I knew what that meant, that he's infected. I thought the way he was shot, oh, fuck, he got infected. I was so pissed. But because I liked the character. I also really liked him in Lake Placid. I think he's very fun in that movie. He's done other films as well, but he was good in this. He's a guy who's very gruff, but then when he's able to taste the marmalade sandwich that Paddington has, he's like, what is this? Then he makes the bear cook it on his own, but eventually the guy helps out, and then when people start liking the food, then Paddington and him bond. And again, there's fun stuff to that. There's the bits where Paddington's trying to cook, and Brendan's like, well, do it one at a time. So instead he tastes one orange at a time. What are you doing? You said one at a time. I said one sack at a time. There's some interesting shots. Like, there's some good visuals in this movie. When Paddington is looking at the pop-up book, he visualizes himself in it and his aunt arriving, and how they see all of London, but everything around is the pop-up book. I thought that was a cool visual. When Brendan Gleeson and the bear are making the food, it does this 360 shot where when it pans to something, it's a different time of the morning as they're... It's just the progression of this food. But it doesn't cut, it keeps going to 360. I thought that was a cool visual shot with the effects work they used on that. I like the bit when he's on the phone call with the family. He starts introducing. Each time he says a name, they pop in the frame behind him. So like this guy will pop up, hello. This guy will pop up, how's it going? This guy will pop up, it'll just growl. Grr. Like the timing he says it, each person keeps popping up into the frame. So there's stuff like that I thought was funny. Because it's just this... harmless, kid-friendly, but not corny, not like I said, it felt like kids and adults could watch it, but it was nothing that... I didn't find a whole lot that cringeworthy about it and stuff. At least to me. I don't know. Would I like this more than the first? I don't know. They're kind of even. Like the first one, there's more with him dealing with the family, and you have that aspect here. It's going to be a bit different, which I appreciate. So it's not just a carbon copy. So it's him dealing with the prisoners, which was a fun, different venue. And again, some of the visuals of that, like when they escape, and you see like all four of their cells. But it's like they took the wall out, so we see all four of them at the same time enter. And there's a bit where the bear has to go through these deer, so it's kind of going through them like that. And some, like I said, they definitely put some effort, some merit into this. It didn't feel half-assed. Hugh Grant seems like he's having a lot of fun being a villain. What was it? One funny bit was when the kids are trying to get Hugh Grant out, so they go in and search some stuff for clues. They have recorded Hugh Grant's agent, and they're playing it. Granted, I don't know how the fuck they know when certain things are. Like, fast forward, click. Because a couple movies have done that, where all they do is rewind or fast forward, they hit, and they're at the right spot that they need to go. I remember I had one of those things, and each time I did it, I'm in the middle of talking this, or this person in the middle of talking that, go back, nope, fast forward, nope. You go back and forth, back and forth. This is why we don't have rewind and fast forward anymore. Just like, shit, too far. Up, too far back, too far forward. You have to keep going back before they get to the right spot. But all these fucking movies, no. But when movies do it, they get to the right spot, and then they fast forward, they get to the right sentence they need to, then they do fast forward, then they rewind, they get to the right spot. I'm like, how the fuck do you do this? What kind of voodoo magic is this? Instead of starting and they're in the middle of a word, or they're in the middle of the sentence. But anyway, it's just a movie. But they hit the wrong one where she was talking about someone's buns, nice buns, and Hugh Grant's like, I'm sorry, what did you say? Well, how did he put it? I never had any complaints about Mr. and Mrs. Body Cheek. Well, thank you. I've never had any complaints about Mr. and Mrs. Body Cheek. It just, Hugh Grant knows how to sell that kind of line with that type of charm. And there's other funny lines that I chuckled at where when they're making the marmalade, Paddington's trying to tell, you gotta be careful of cutting, but then he's chopping really well, Brendan Gleeson, and he goes, how do you know how to use a knife that well? You don't want to know. I got a warm tingle in my tum-tum. That's pride. Well, I don't like it. Eventually, at the end, there's a sequence where Paddington's... Well, here it's on a train. Hugh Grant's trying to get the treasure. Paddington's trying to stop it and get the book, the pop-up book. The family gets on another train thanks to the son knowing a bit about steam engines. There's a lot of CGI used, like when they're on top of the train, and whether Paddington is using this like toffee apple that kind of he puts on his feet to walk on the train, which is cute. But like when Hugh Grant's on top and walking towards, it's all green screen. You could tell. Now the shots with Hugh Grant, I think you could put him on an actual train. See, that's one thing. Like with that, like have an actual train. Like I get that Paddington has to be CGI, but there are movies where they've been on a train. There's X-Files episodes where David Duchovny was on a train. Broken Arrow, that whole bit they're on a fucking train and they're on top of the train. There's plenty of movies where they're on top of real fucking trains, and like you tell me you can't shoot like some shots here and there on an actual fucking train, like up top. You could do some of that. You don't have to do it all CGI. Like certain shots here and there, but I mean that's just me. So I mean that looked just really fake, so it took me a little bit out of the scene. But eventually, everything works out. Spoilers, sorry. Mr. Brown's able, because he was good at hitting the bullseye with a baseball, knocks out Hugh Grant. Paddington's been locked in his other carriage, goes off to the water. Mrs. Brown can't get him loose, but Brendan Gleeson and two others who escaped on a plane after they escaped from jail, they have come back. I guess I'm trying to remember how they knew they were exactly there at that spot at that time. I know the police on the radio said that Paddington was blah blah, but I don't know, were they watching the whole time on what the train was doing? I don't know. But I guess they dived the plane down and then they jumped down and Brendan Gleeson saves them. Everything's fine. Hugh Grant goes to jail. Brendan and the other two get parole. Does it show that they changed their ways? And the families and the neighborhood decide to bring the bear Aunt Lucy to London so that the bear and Aunt could see London together, which was nice. That was nice. And while, yeah, there's definitely a lot of usage of CGI, especially on the train bits at the end, I had fun in that kind of feel that I did with the first film. You know, the characters, the way they talk, the way they interact. Just the whole film is charming, like the first film. Like Hugh Grant. The whole film just has a nice charm to it. It's good to watch with your kids. There's nothing you guys shy away from them. Everything is harmless. I kind of like the old school family films, like how they used to be. So in a weird way, even though this takes place, I forget what year this takes place in, or if it's supposed to be modern time, I can't remember. I guess it would be. In a weird way, like these are films that won't date, compared to how some family films in the U.S. will date a lot quicker than this one. Just the way the characters talk and interact in the stories, and it kind of reminds me like the Babe movies, like, and how they kind of make the world. It's not quite real, like especially in this one, like the prison. It's definitely not a realistic prison, so they make it whimsical, kind of like Babe, Pig in the City, where certain sections of that movie, like you tell, is much more. Like it's in our world, but there's fantastical elements of the set design, or, well, a lot of this is CG anyway, but like just the look of it, where it's definitely meant to be more artistic, and I don't mind that. It definitely made it interesting to see like what they would do next. And yeah, overall, Brendan Gleeson, Hugh Grant, it's great to see those two in this. I thought they did a really good job. You know, the ending was nice to see the aunt and them reunite with each other. The very first scene, you see how the aunt and uncle got the bear because he was down the river and they save him. I thought that was rather cute. He's rather small. He's rather sneezy. What does that mean? You have to watch the film and find out. But yes, if you have kids and you want to show them something that's not going to make your fucking soul die out, these films, at least the two I've seen, definitely worth a watch. So they were fun to see. I quite like these. So they were cute, they were charming, and we don't get a lot of that in the U.S. Sadly. We get bullshit like Lilo and Stitch remake and Snow White remake. Or something like Norm of the North. Remember that fucking movie? Or they seem like Shallow or whatever the fuck. Anyway. You get like a Wall-E, but that's a rare thing. Finding Nemo. But anyway. Even when the cat's pissed off about that, if you heard that, he's pissed. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye for now.